Hello and welcome to the podcast, the first ever episode of What About Everything, featuring me, Brendan, and Ryan.
That's me. Hello.
So today we thought we'd stick with the theme of pilots. And Ryan, what's the first topic of today?
Well, the first topic of today, Brendan, is TV pilots. Considering this is technically our pilot episode, I thought it'd be quite fitting. Now, let's get into the best TV pilots. Oh.
This is the first pilot fact of today. 56% of pilots admit to having fallen asleep while flying a passenger plane, according to a UK survey.
That is worrying. I don't want my pilots falling asleep.
First pilot fact.
So, best TV pilots. Brendan, what do you think are some of the best TV pilots out there?
I mean, Freaks and Geeks.
Of course, Freaks and Geeks is phenomenal. Just that show is just severely underrated. And I think, obviously, killed before its time when he got one season. But the pilot was really great in like setting up the dynamics of all the characters. Sam and his friends, Bill and the kid with the puppet. Can't remember his name, but Neil. No, not Neil. Yeah, Neil. Neil, Bill, and I can't remember his name, but his dad's a dentist and he likes puppetry, and all that stuff. But like setting up their group and then Lindsay's group. James Franco, of course, is in it, and I love James Franco in anything he's in because his face is just top notch, perfectly structured.
Well, I was gonna say James Franco. You love James Franco in Girls Without the Permission because there was a bit of a Me Too movement going around with James Franco for a while.
It was that he was the bad guy.
He was a bad boy, doing bad things.
Oh dear, I actually didn't know that. Well, that's upsetting.
Yeah, some of them are underage apparently as well.
Oh dear. Okay. Oh dear. No. We don't want to get into that discussion today. Well, this my favorite TV pilot of all of them has got to be Arrested Development. Because I love that show. Now I stopped after. Well, I watched series 4. Didn't particularly enjoy it. It was really clever how they weaved all these storylines together. That was really clever writing, but like overall it was just really weak. So I sort of stopped after series 4. I don't really care about it because I watched the first episode of series 5, but they're doing a lot of backtracking and recurring everything that happened in series 4 to try and make up for it. And it was just so boring.
I think I stopped in series 3.
Well, that's when when it got cancelled. Series 1 to 3 then cancelled, and then Netflix brought it back 2013. But the pilot episode is just perfect because it sets up who every character is so perfectly. Like my favorite character is Job, played by Will Arnett, and one of his first lines sets up exactly who he is. It's because he's a magician, a failing magician, but a magician nonetheless. Because of course, I think anyone who picks to be a magician as a career is failing in life, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so Job is trying to show Michael one of his tricks, illusions, sorry. And Michael, who's played by Jason Bateman, says, "Look, Job, Dad doesn't have time for your tricks." And then Job says, "They're not tricks, Michael, they're illusions. A trick is something a whore does for money." Which just perfectly sets up his character for the whole 3 series. He does have some crude moments like that, but overall he's hilarious and I love him. But like all the other characters get their due. Like we get the first hints of Tobias's fluid sexuality. Like, is he gay? Is he not gay? Who knows? Because like there's a quote at the end of the pilot where he's like, "So it turns out the pirates are actually homosexuals."
I think my favorite character is George Michael.
Oh, George Michael is just great. Oh, Michael Cera is perfect for that role. He's just so awkward.
The sexual tension between him and his cousin always gets me.
Oh, it's just so perfect. And he, I love when there's an episode where he's sitting in his room and his dad comes in. It's like, "Hey, buddy, you alone?" And he's like, "Almost always, yeah."
No, do you know the bit where they're in the car and he's like, "No, just jump up on George Michael's lap."
Oh, and George Michael's sitting there so awkward. He's like, "Oh my gosh, she's on my lap. I'm attracted to her. She's my cousin. What do I do?" Then he goes to the school play in the hopes of kissing his cousin. Yeah. It was a really weird plot line, but it was really funny, and they never went the full way with it, so it's sort of okay, really. But loving your cousin is not okay. I'm not condoning that whatsoever. No.
Well, it's illegal. Unless they're after your third cousin.
Unless they're after your third cousin. Okay, that's fair. Well, like, there's so many.
Oh fuck! I can't believe you've done this.
I'm sorry.
That's fair.
I think we were going on too long.
But there's other TV pilots I'm quite fond of. There is of course, The Simpsons. Like, it did start off as like shorts on the Tracy Ullman show. But the first episode of the series was a Christmas special, which is really weird. It's not how you'd kick off a show. Because like it's called like Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire. But like it's like, you know, it's about for anyone who hasn't seen it. You might have, like, The Simpsons is always on Sky One, so there's a chance you might have seen it at some point. It's where like they find Santa's little helper at a dog track, and he's being like, he's left by his original owner, so they take him in. But like Homer's worried because he don't have enough money for the family for Christmas, and they don't have enough money for presents and stuff. And it's just like, it sets up like what early Simpsons used to be, like really clever. Because in the background, like when like Homer and Marge go to a meeting, like one of the posters, I can't remember what it says, but it was a really subtle pun. And like, because The Simpsons does that all the time, they like slip subtle puns into like background details, like just innocuous details no one's ever going to notice. But like the writers care about the show. And like the first episode opens like with, like it deals with like, you know, family dynamics and like, you know, poverty and stuff that they're trying to deal with, and just like really heartwarming as well. And it's just everything The Simpsons is.
I just find the old episodes so hard to watch because of the animation. It just makes me uneasy. It's like what's it? Not The Amazing World of Gumball. You know the other one with the pirate? What's it called?
The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack?
Yeah, Flapjack. That all episodes of The Simpsons and Courage the Cowardly Dog, all three animation styles make me so uncomfortable. I just can't watch them.
I feel like that's the point of Flapjack, though, because that show is just uncomfortable in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, the early Simpsons episodes are quite crude, but like they do gloss it up towards around that series 3. It starts to get a bit neater, and then it does get better. But like, it's, I come for the writing, not the animation quality.
I mean, most of my favorite pilots of TV shows were all cancelled, so I think that really sets in stone my taste in TV.
What kind of pilots?
Well, there was one for a series on Sky Living, which doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, Sky Living's gone now.
What was a show called? It was basically about like people who kidnap people and serial killers, and then the main actor, what was it called? I can't remember. That's probably bad. That's probably why it got cancelled.
No one can remember the name. Hey, can we could turn that serial killer show into a show, couldn't we? What was it called again, Jeff? Jeez, I can't remember. Yeah, we'll just leave it.
But it was so good, I was really into it, and it just got cancelled. I was like, why? And then there was one with Ian Griffith, or however you say his Welsh name. I don't know. Fantastic Four guy.
Oh yeah, him.
Called Forever, where he falls into the Hudson and then realizes he can live forever.
Damn.
It was a pretty good show. And the guy who works in the store could also live forever. Wait, no, the guy who worked in the store couldn't live forever, but they were friends because he was a soldier and his friend was a kid in a concentration camp, and
Jesus.
and they grew up together, and then the friend realizes that he doesn't age, and it was weird. It's just a weird show, but it was really good, and I watched like 2 seasons of it, and then it never came back, and it's so sad.
That's unfortunate. But there is a lot of instances of like really weird shows that got cancelled. One that people might know, the pilot came out in 1990. It's called Heil Honey, I'm Home. It stars, as you might have guessed, Hitler and Eva Braun living a suburban lifestyle, but they have Brooklyn accents for some reason. And like the whole episode is like just them trying to deal with their Jewish neighbours, because they're Neville Chamberlain's coming over for like tea in the afternoon, and like the Jewish neighbours are causing them trouble. Obviously, you can imagine why this didn't get picked up to be a proper show, because it's just insanely offensive and just horrible. But it's it's like, why would they even think about doing it? Is my question.
It's like that Dave Chappelle sketch. You know the one?
Which one?
The family of it's like, here they come, oh look out, oh yeah, it's the, and it's like the N word, but it's not the N word.
Oh dear.
And then it's like, oh, you N words, you are always like, and it's this white family who are called like the N words. As a Dave Chappelle sketch. It's quite funny, but it's like so just touching on really racist. But that's like Dave Chappelle. That's his comedy style.
No, but there's two more weird pilots that I love. The first one's called Steel Justice. Pilot came out in 1992. It's set in the near future with a cop, and he has a son, but the son gets killed in a gangland fight. And not a normal gangland fight with like handguns and stuff. No, this son gets killed by a bazooka, blowing up the car he's in, because the gangs in the future can use really serious tech. So anyway, the son dies, and instead of dying like normal, the spirit of the son possesses a toy robot dinosaur. So that's there, and then the cop meets up with this person who's either immortal or a time traveler. It's not really clear which. The writing is really messy with it, and it's like he makes allusions to the fact he could be either. But then this immortal time traveler dude teaches the cop a skill that apparently everyone has, where if you concentrate hard enough, you can turn little objects into big objects. Quite literally, if you concentrate hard enough, you could turn your phone into a massive phone. So the cop does this to turn the toy robot dinosaur that his son is possessing from a small 4 foot tall dinosaur. Well, no, not 4 foot. I don't know.
4 foot's quite big.
Yeah, yeah. From a small, less than 4 foot toy dinosaur to a 40 foot tall fire breathing robot dinosaur to stop the bad guys. And it's
kind of overkill.
Yeah. Like, I get if it was just a cop and a robot dinosaur killing bad guys, that'd be cool. But the fact he turns it into a giant dinosaur himself with concentration and that his son is possessing it, it's just really weird and slightly unnecessary. Yeah, I love it all the same. But like, you can obviously imagine why it didn't get picked up, because it's just so ridiculous. But definitely, without a doubt, the best TV pilot never to exist. Well, the best TV show never to exist came about in 1999. It was written by Dan Harmon, directed by Ben Stiller, and it stars Jack Black and the voice of Owen Wilson. It's called Heat Vision and Jack.
Yeah, boy!
Thank you, Brendan. It's called Heat Vision and Jack. And it stars Jack Black as an astronaut who, in a mission, flies too close to the sun, and he absorbs inappropriate levels of solar energy, and as such, he becomes his brain grows to 3 times its size whenever the sun rises. He's like the opposite of a werewolf. So when the sun rises, his brain grows to 3 times the size, and he becomes super intelligent. And then his in the intro, because the whole pilot is on YouTube, I recommend watching it. It's amazing. But his roommate, in the intro, they specifically state that his roommate is unemployed. They make that fact very clear. They say his unemployed roommate very strongly. Anyway, so his unemployed roommate gets turned into a motorcycle after some NASA experiment goes wrong or whatever, even though NASA's technically evil, because it's run by Ron Silver, the actor Ron Silver from like the movie Time Cop. Like, he's still an actor in this universe, and he plays himself, but he's also a bad guy working for NASA. So anyway, the episode is called The Eyes of Paragon. It opens up in like a small gas station in the middle of nowhere, and we have like a restaurant or whatever, and like this diner chef is there, and like there's a radio in the kitchen, and it starts like going all over the shop with electrical energy. And instead of not touching it, what does he do? He hits it with a metal spatula, which is just not wise. Like, the show clearly wasn't teaching electrical safety. So he hits it with a spatula, and he gets his comeuppance for that stupidity, because then he gets possessed by this alien called Paragon. So then he steps out of the kitchen, and the woman working at the till sees him and says his name, Al or whatever. And he says, no, my name... then he says these exact words: "Call me Paragon, you worthless monkey whore." Like, what? The dialogue is just so cringy. And then after he burns her alive, and then he says these words while he's burning her alive: "All monkey sluts shall be absorbed." But while he's burning her alive, the song "Semi-Charmed Life" by Three Eyed Blind plays, which is not really a very fitting song to play when someone's burning alive, but fair enough. But then Heat Vision, because the bike's name, Jack's roommate, who gets turned into a bike, they call him Heat Vision instead of his actual human name for some reason. I don't know why. It's never explained. But they end up at this gas station, and then they see Paragon, but Paragon leaves, and then a sheriff comes into it, this blonde woman, we never find out her name either.
Nameless.
Yeah, she's nameless for the whole thing, which I find incredibly sexist. She's just blonde sheriff in the titles, in the end titles. Jack spends a day and a half with her, never even once asks her name. Like, they go to her grandmother's house to lay low from NASA, and he never once asks her name, which is just really rude. But anyway, Jack gets put into prison in this jail. And here's the thing: when he gets put in the jail, he says all the stuff with NASA, and she's like, "All right, I'm just going to call them." And he says, "No." She's going to call NASA from... She's using a rotary phone in a prison in the back ass of nowhere. And she's going to call NASA, the National Aeronautic and Space Administration. Okay. But anyway, so she leaves or whatever to go investigate the crime scene. And then the sun rises. And then, as I said, Jack gets super smart. But, it's a really trippy sequence where he gets intelligent. Like, you see pictures of famous scientists going all over the screen. You see him coming up. He's like, "I know everything." And, there's only one equation that pops up. It's E equals MC squared, popping up all the time. Like, it doesn't even have anything to do with being... do you know what E equals MC squared means?
Yeah, it's like energy equals matter.
It's mass times the speed of light squared. But you know what it's used for?
No.
It's used for nuclear fission, because scientists found out, because nuclear fission, it's where one large nucleus is split into two smaller nuclei. But when the nucleus is split into two smaller nuclei, there's a mass deficit. And scientists didn't know where the mass was lost. But then Einstein came up with E equals MC squared to state that, the mass is lost as kinetic energy. And this is it's the principle atomic bombs are based off of, which is really cool.
It's used for energy transformation as well, or at least transformation for multiple substances, that energy can become mass and mass can become energy.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with your brain growing 3 times larger. I feel like they just we need something smart to throw in there. E equals MC squared. Yeah, we'll use that. Why not? Perfect.
Pythagoras.
Yeah. Length of the hypotenuse squared, etc., etc. But then he gets super smart, and then out of nowhere he pulls out a dog whistle. Because the chief left her dog in the police station to guard Jack room, and he pulls a dog whistle out of nowhere because he just apparently happens to have one, even though he doesn't even own a dog, because he's constantly on the run from NASA, so there's no time for a dog. And yet he blows this whistle to make the dog get the keys to open the door somehow, and then he escapes, and he goes back to the gas station where Paragon was, and he's searching there. And then Heat Vision, the bike, is outside, yeah? And then Paragon comes up as the alien, okay? And he's like, "Hey, you're a guy who works here, right?" He's like, "Yes, this person was." And Heat Vision already didn't cop on. He's like, "What's your name?" And then Paragon stumbles because he doesn't know the guy's name. He's like, So instead of answering, he lifts up his sunglasses ready to burn Heat Vision alive to get away from answering the question. But then Jack comes out and tries to stop him. But Heat Vision rams into him. But then what does Paragon do? He just pushes him over because he's a motorcycle and he just falls over. But then they get the origin of Heat Vision where it's like, oh yeah, he was coming to save Jack, and NASA blasted him with a ray gun that merged him with his motorcycle. And then Jack says these words, when fate makes you a motorcycle, you become a motorcycle. Wow. Who wrote this? A 12-year-old kid in his bedroom? It's just so bad. But here's the best part. The climax of the whole episode takes place in a strip club. A strip club called Sunken Pleasure. Let that sink in. Pun not intended. Anyway, so Paragon's in the strip club. He's having a right out time because he says, all monkey trash shall dance on Paragon's lap. It's like, yeah, you can conquer the world, but you can have some fun at the same time. And then Ben Stiller, the director, makes a cameo as the DJ at a strip club in dreadlocks, which is always nice to see Ben Stiller in dreadlocks. And then Jack and Heat Vision and the sheriff come in, and they try to stop them. There's a big fight. Ron Silver comes in, throws the whole thing off balance. And then eventually, Paragon is stopped because they transfer his consciousness from the human into like a disc. And then Jack's like, all right, here's what you need to do with the disc. But then the sun sets and he becomes stupid again and he can't remember what to do with the disc. He's like, I don't know. And the sheriff's like, okay, I'll just throw it in the bin or whatever. And he's like, yeah, do that, yeah. And she's like, why don't you tell people your story? And Jack says, in the past, I've tried to tell my story to journalists. I've tried to make friends. I've tried to open up to women. They've died. Just really casually, they've died. And then he leaves, riding off into the sunset with a really casual ending. But I'm just so sad this never got made into a TV show. It could have worked so well. Like, yeah, take out like some of the stupid stuff, but like the strip club was kind of unnecessary. But like, if you really committed to it, it could have worked.
It's so like not Dan Harmon-esque.
No. No, it is not.
Like, to go from that to iCarly. Well, I think it was that.
No,
I mean, Drake and Josh. Dan Harmon's iCarly, isn't it? Dan Harmon is.
Who's the one I'm thinking of? Oh, no, the one who wrote Rick and Morty.
What? Wait.
The Rick and Morty writer, Community. He also wrote Community.
That is Dan Harmon as well, isn't it?
No, different. Are they both named Dan Harmon?
I don't know.
They couldn't both be named Dan Harmon. That can't be right. I refuse to believe that both the person who created Drake and Josh and the person who wrote Rick and Morty have the same name. That can't be right. Yeah, Dan Harmon, the guy who wrote Rick and Morty and Community.
Monster House.
No, Dan Schneider. You're thinking of Dan
I
Schneider.
am thinking of Dan Schneider.
That's it.
Oh,
Yes.
that makes so much sense.
You're thinking
There we
of Dan
go.
Schneider.
Dan Schneider and Dan Harmon are different people.
I can't believe you got those mixed up.
I'm so ashamed.
Two completely different men. Oh.
God. Yeah, Dan Schneider is a totally different guy.
Dan Schneider is Dan Schneider's a far worse writer than Dan Harmon. That is without a shadow of a doubt.
Dan Harmon is actually ridiculously intelligent. Like, have you heard what he says in interviews about like death? Like, he's a complete nihilist. With, like,
Is he?
Yeah, but like he I think he says in one interview, he's like, yeah, you just have to accept the fact that the world, it means nothing, that everything happens for no reason, and that gives you power.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's quite like, yeah, I get where he's coming from, I suppose. But like,
You
it's
ever,
like a chill pill, dude.
you ever hear the song about Dan Schneider?
I don't think I want to, if I'm gonna be honest.
It's called Nickelodeon Girls by Filthy Frank.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, I definitely don't want to hear it. Moving swiftly on from that. Any TV pilots that pissed you off?
God.
Or like ones you think like just don't reflect the overall quality of the show, I guess.
I was going to say Doctor Who, but Doctor Who actually...
Or which pilot? Do you mean the original 63 pilot
No,
or
I-
the 2005 reboot pilot?
I mean Christopher Eccleston's one, yeah.
Yeah, Rose.
Yeah.
It is really silly.
Yeah.
There is one beautiful moment where Rose is like, "Who are you?" And like he holds her hand. And he's like, like I can feel the earth spinning. Like you and me are clinging to the skin of this tiny little world. And if we let go, that's who I am. They forget me. That moment was really good,
Yeah.
but like the rest of the episode was kind of silly.
That's the one with the mannequin, isn't it?
Yeah, the Autons.
Yeah,
And like Mickey gets kidnapped, and like it's like pizza, pizza.
He's driving the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a...
Yeah, that was really silly.
like the original pilot with William Hartnell. Amazing.
Yes. The first episode is. I felt like a drag though.
Yeah. I mean, William Hartnell's not my favourite Doctor.
No.
Patrick Troughton is.
Patrick Troughton is wonderful.
He had a recorder.
Yes. But I don't want to get into Doctor Who now because I'll never stop. We'll definitely save Doctor Who for a later episode.
Yes.
Because I have a lot of thoughts. And I mean a lot of thoughts. have to make it a two-parter, to be honest. But I don't know. I feel there's a few pilots that I think don't reflect the overall quality of the show. One in particular is 30 Rock.
I actually have never watched 30 Rock.
I'm not finished it yet. I'm on season 4. I just started season 4, but I have stopped because I'm planning on watching the rest of it with my BF, best friend, etc., etc. Anyway, but the pilot I didn't enjoy whatsoever.
Okay.
Like it was just a mess. Tina Fey called it a mess herself. She was like she hates the pilot so much. She feels like it's just bad, which I think it is because it uses a lot of shaky cam. And like Tracy Morgan's like performance in it is really reserved because he goes really out of it, like for the rest of the show, like really ridiculous. But like he does have one really funny quote in the pilot, where because like Jack, Alec Baldwin's character wants to get a new cast member, so it was like we'll get the famous actor Tracy Jordan, who's played by Tracy Morgan. So it's like Liz Lemon, you're gonna meet Tracy in a restaurant, and we're gonna set this up. And she's like, okay. So then the next scene is Tracy and his entourage in a fancy restaurant. And he's like, I'll have an apple juice, please. We don't serve apple juice, sir. Okay, then vodka and tonic. That was the best joke of the pilot. But it just... I watched it first, summer 2017. And I didn't enjoy it, so I was like, I'm not going to continue with this. But then I watched a really funny clip on YouTube of a later episode where Tracy's trying to get Jack to endorse his company, to endorse his idea. And he's like, Tracy, here's what we'll do. We can go from NBC down to this subsidiary from North Korea, from South Korea or whatever. Who will fund your product? And he's like, Jackie D, you're my savior. I'm going to make you a mixtape. You like Phil Collins? I've got 2 ears and a heart, don't I? That quote made me want to rewatch the show, and I'm glad I did, because it is far better than what the pilot lets it on to be.
You see, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but
yes.
I don't like Alec Baldwin. I don't like any of the Baldwins.
That's fair. I don't like what's his brother's name? The one that looks just like him.
Steve? No.
I think it's Steve. Yeah.
Is it Steve?
I think it is. I'll look it up. I think it's Steve. And his face just annoys me. I know he looks like Alec Baldwin, but Alec Baldwin sort of makes it work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. He makes me uncomfortable. Like, his demeanor just makes me uneasy in all of his roles.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see where you're coming from there. Stephen Baldwin. Yeah, Stephen Baldwin's face just annoys me. It's one of those really punchable faces. Do you ever see those people where you just think, I'm not a violent person, but if I had to punch someone, it'd be him?
Yeah. He kind of looks like if Donald Duck was made, like, in real life.
And it just didn't work out so well.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, why do we even try this? No! Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I like Baldwin is incredible. I think it's the same with a lot of people. Like, there's this guy I follow on YouTube called Cinema Wins, who I'd highly recommend. He's a source of positivity on the internet that we're solely missing. Where it's like, Cinema Sins.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of that.
Oh shit, I know him. Actually.
Yeah, it's the opposite of that, where like he wins everything. But like his latest video, he talks about Into the Spider-Verse, and he's not a fan of John Mulaney, which sort of pees me off because I love John Mulaney. I think John Mulaney is a god, who I will bow down to, and I may or may not do already. Anyway, enough for the comment on that. But he doesn't like John Mulaney, so it's like, not everyone is for everyone, I guess. But moving on from TV pilots to other pilot-related things. Airplanes.
I really was going to do the whole, the air horn and pilot fact, but
yes.
I realized that Uber Facts, which is what I have been largely basing my facts off, regurgitates the same fact, but words it differently. So I thought there were like 20, 25 different facts. There's like 4.
It's like 4, but they just use the... Well, they're trying to make the word count.
No, it's literally... Where is it? Wait. So you have... Here are some tweets. So it's December 1st, November 4th. It starts on October 2nd, November 4th, December 1st, and December 24th. And each one of them are, during World War II, an American pilot whose plane was shot down over the Sahara sustained himself on Tootsie Rolls for 3 days. That is tweeted 4 times in total.
Jesus.
And then the one I said at the start, so 56% of pilots admit to having fallen asleep while flying a passenger plane.
Yeah.
That was tweeted in August 27th of 2014, as well as January of this year, but it was in a different way. So it was between where'd it go? I gotta watch my mouth.
Yeah. This is a channel for all ages. Careful with the potty mouth.
Where did it go? It was like right there.
Maybe they're listening to this right now.
Constantly, fuck. Yeah, between 43 and 54% of pilots have surveyed in the UK, Norway, and Sweden have admitted to falling asleep while flying a passenger plane. And then the one at the start was 56% of pilots have admit to having fallen asleep during flying a passenger plane, according to a UK survey. So when you expand it to Sweden and Norway, it goes down 2%.
Well, maybe they're just getting really lazy. Like, come on, you can't say you've never written an essay before and you repeat the same point like 6 times, but like with different words thanks to the source.
I mean, yeah, but I do actually have my own plane fact.
Yes.
So, you know the esteemed car company, Rolls-Royce?
I do, yes.
Rolls-Royce originally made plane engines.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that.
And then that's where the engines in the majority of passenger planes and Spitfires were all Rolls-Royce, and I think they still do.
That's pretty cool. That is actually really awesome. Here's a question for you. See if you know the answer. How do you get a whole row of seats to yourself on an airplane?
Obesity?
Oh dear. That's not nice.
Disease?
No. Death.
Make a wish?
No. Oh no, dear. No. No. If you die, then you get a whole row of seats to yourself in an airplane because you're apparently not allowed to sit beside a dead body. For some reason. It's interesting. With British Airways, they report they have around 10 deaths a year on their flights. And so, like, if someone dies, you got to move them away, move everyone else away from them. Usually, what they do is because, like, most like standard seating is full. Like, usually first class isn't full. So they move the dead body to first class. They put sunglasses on him to pretend like he isn't dead, just so they don't freak any passengers out. But in Singapore, they have this thing called the death closet, where the corpse closet. Corpse closet.
That's much better.
Yeah, the corpse closet, where if someone dies on a flight and it's a long one, then they shove the dead body into a closet for the rest of the flight, which I think is very Faulty Towers.
Oh my god!
You know, because it reminds me of. Did you ever see the episode of Faulty Towers? Have you seen Faulty Towers?
I watched a little bit, but not that much.
Oh, well, there's like 12 episodes in total. It's really short. But there's one episode where this guy dies in the middle of the night. And like they need to, but Basil, played by John Cleese, needs to get the body out of the room because someone else is moving into that room.
Yeah.
So they need to wait for the coroner to get there, the undertaker to get there to move the dead body. So they need to get the body out of the room. So they're moving the dead body all around the hotel. They don't know what to do with it. And they put it into a laundry basket, and they keep it in the middle of the lobby or whatever. And there's 3 people who are coming to meet the guy, and they're like, "Yeah, where's Mr. Lehman?" And he's like, "Mr. Lehman." And Basil's there, like leaning over the laundry basket, trying not to. He's like, "No, he's not here. He's not. What are you talking about?" And it's like, "Mr. Lehman, we're here to collect him." "Oh, you're here to collect him," because he thinks they're the undertakers. He's like, "Very modern dress. I didn't know women did that sort of thing." "I'm sorry, I didn't know women did that sort of thing." "Sir," it's like, "Look at Mr. Lehman, right? He's in the basket." "We're sorry?" He's in the basket. And he opens the basket just slightly, and they look in and he's like, "There's nothing in there." He's like, "What do you mean?" And he opens the basket all the way up, and he's gone. It's like, "Where's he gone?" "The laundry!" Because it's Tuesday, it's laundry day. So they've taken the basket out with the dead body. So he runs out, bangs. Luckily, the truck is just about to leave, so he bangs on the truck. He's like, "We need to get the basket back." So then they get the dead body out of the basket, and Basil and Manuel are carrying the dead body back into the hotel. And these 2 people who Basil first shoved the dead body into a wardrobe in a room that was being occupied. And like it was this whole big thing that it's just watch the episode. It's called The Kipper and the Corpse. It's on Netflix, season 2, episode 4. But so the couple who like had this whole big ordeal early in the episode see him carrying the dead body back into the hotel, and like all you see is the car go off screen, and then all you hear is a crash sound. But it's just so ridiculous, and like to think that it actually could happen in real life, or like on planes. Like, we need to get this dead body out of here right now.
Whenever I think of just moving dead bodies around, I always think of, you ever seen How I Met Your Mother?
Yes, I've seen. I'm not the biggest fan of it.
Oh, okay.
The first three seasons I enjoy, but then it just becomes like a Friends remake, and it gets really poor.
That's why I don't like the ending of How I Met
No,
Your
oh
Mother.
god, the ending pissed me off.
But
so much.
do you know the whole Weekend at Barney's thing that they kept trying to do? Whenever I think of like moving around a dead body, that is all I think about.
Oh, Weekend at Bernie's.
God damn.
Oh, but actually, another fun fact related to, I suppose, death on planes. The the pilot and the co-pilot have to have different meals. So in case like one of them's contaminated or one of them gets food poisoning, then the other's still able to fly the plane. Because otherwise, like it's like an airplane. Airplane, the movie,
Yes.
came in 1980. Like in that movie, the pilot got like food sickness and he was like pretty much vomiting. I can't remember if he died or not. I haven't seen the movie in like 2 years, but I think he died. I don't know. But it's like that. So like both of them get sick, then you're screwed. Because like they actually did a test. Because it's not in the movies where like a random person who just flies like casually. Like they put them in like a simulator proper cockpits, and all of them couldn't handle it, and like one of them couldn't even start the plane, and another they couldn't even work the radio.
Oh my god.
So it's like with casual civilian pilots they can't fly proper commercial airplanes. And it's just so it's not going to work out in real life like it will in the movies, unfortunately.
Yeah, I never understood why they don't like. I always wondered, like, when a plane crashes, like if it crashes in the water, they have
That's called ditching, actually. When they land on the water. Fun fact. Ditching.
they have life jackets,
Yeah.
but I never understood, like, what if they did this thing where the bottom of the plane where the seats are, that's a separate part of the plane, and it drops out, and then
Turns into a boat.
the seats.
This isn't James Bond.
No, like say a plane's just crashing and they're like, oh fuck, we're gonna die. So either the bottom of the plane plops out or the roof comes off and the seats can eject with parachutes. But it would have to be synchronized. So it'd be like otherwise everyone else is
If all the parachutes all the ejector seats went to the exact same time, it'd be a bloodbath.
yeah. But like or why don't they just give people parachutes and then like have a bigger door?
I feel like there's a reason they don't put parachutes on commercial airplanes.
There must be a reason, but I can't logically think of why you wouldn't have parachutes. But anyway, speaking of planes,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's your favorite music video involving a plane?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really watch music videos. I don't know, I suppose sometimes they can be worthwhile, but I've never been a big fan of music videos. I feel like music is more of an oral experience you listen to, you don't really watch it. I feel like it's kind of pointless. That's just my opinion. But I don't believe in music videos all that much.
You're like my mom. My mom. I will go like, "Hey mom, can I show you a song?" She's like, "You don't show me a song. You let me hear a song." And I'm like, "Okay, sorry. Do you want to hear this song?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, why did you even say that?" You know how moms be.
That's the second time I've been called a mother. Let's go and get into
Was the first one like sexual?
No, God, no. I don't involve anything with the S word. That's too grown up for my liking. No, it's a long story. Anyway.
Speaking of long stories, tell me about your
I will not disclose why I was
cockpits.
Okay, whoa, no. Okay.
Too many innuendos.
Yes, too many. I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like you have a favorite music video with
I do.
involving airplanes.
It's my favorite one is Born to Fly by Foo Fighters. The other one is what the fuck is the name? You know the one. It's like, Blair Star, no more, yeah.
Tenacious D, Jack Black.
No, that's Born to Fly with Foo Fighters.
Oh, they're together. Oh.
Yeah. But because Dave Grohl is in Tenacious D. Sometimes.
That's really weird. Like, I used to be in Nirvana, now I'm singing with Jack Black.
Like, if you look up all the many bands he's been in, Tenacious D is one of them.
His best was Nirvana, but Today is not a day for music. That's next week. Next week is music.
Fair.
Yeah, I kind of planned ahead because I'm that much of a weirdo freak, etc. etc. I've heard them all.
Anal. Anal's the word.
Okay.
Anal is the word. You know, anal can be used in a different context. It's not like sexual.
But I don't want it to be used in a different context, if you know what I mean. I don't want to use it at all. It's one of those words. It's like moist. It's not a word I want to use in my day-to-day conversation needs.
But it does describe what you are. You are an anal person.
I'm gonna look up the definition.
Not Urban Dictionary. Just
I am familiar with not relating to or no. No, it's not that one. Okay, anyway, moving on from words, because we're not going to get into words this week. That's later down the line as well.
That'd be good.
I've got a lot of ideas. They don't call me the ideas man for nothing. Of course, only one person calls me that.
I was going to ask who.
But hey, it's a valid. I have lots of ideas, but anyway, another airplane related thing. Do you know why airplane food tastes as bad as it does?
Communism.
Oh, you suck. Classic conservative. Are you conservative? Liberal?
I am Marxist. No, no. I suppose I'm. Which one's Labour? Is that left, or is that right?
Labour's more leftish, yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably leftish.
Yeah, I am. I'm a socialist myself. But anyway, no, it's not. Communism is not the reason why airplane food tastes as bad as it does. It's actually, and it's not also because airplanes are really cheap and like the food just like they don't cook it properly, which in a lot of cases is true. But the reason is because of it's actually a combination of humidity, smell, and hearing. Like factor of all those causes food to taste as bad as it does. Because like airplanes fly at around 35,000 feet. That's like the perfect position where like since there's lower air pressure, like it gives maximum fuel efficiency or whatever. But like the cabin is pressurized to simulate 6,000 to 8,000 feet because if it wasn't, you'd find it very hard to breathe. So because the cabin is pressurized, the air is around at 20% humidity. Just for point of reference, the Sahara Desert is 25% humidity. So it's very dry in airplane cabins. Because the reason is because they recycle 50% of the air. Because otherwise, like it would be mostly filled with carbon dioxide, and again, you'd also find it very hard to breathe. So what they do is they recycle the air, and when they recycle it, they take out, they pressurize it and hydrate it, but it's just very barely hydrated. It's only like 1% or something, and like so because of the lack of humidity, it affects your ability to taste or whatever. Because like the comfortable humidity level for humans is like 40 to 70%. It's like in that range, and like the lower pressure, because like the pressure is like lower than it's around about the pressure is the same as if you're like standing on a mountain that's 2,500 meters tall. It's around about the same.
You see, I gotta be honest. As someone who comes from the mountains, I like airplane food.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I like airplane hospital food, and I like the food on trains.
Well, here's the thing. Some of it does taste good, which I'll get into in a sec. But like, so yeah, the lower air pressure affects your ability to taste. Because it leads to like xerostomia, which is like a dry mouth, like a lack of saliva production.
Do you get that when you smoke weed?
I don't smoke weed.
Is that not called cottonmouth?
Yes, it's also called cottonmouth. For those of you who want to smoke weed, you will get cottonmouth.
For reference, I don't smoke weed either. I just know that. Just to clarify.
We're also not really condoning drug use, but if you want to do it, be my guest. It's a free country. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not your mother.
Unless it's legal. If it's legal where you are, go for it. Because, like...
If it's illegal, still go for it. Live on the wild side. Anyway, but that's not saying do all crimes that are illegal. No. I'm completely getting off topic here. So anyway, back to the food thing. So like because like a lower saliva, it like reduces your taste sensitivity by apparently 30%, which makes it difficult to taste anything that's like salty or sweet, whatever. But also a really weird thing scientists did. That is my phone falling. That happens all the time. Ignore that. I am a dropper. That's why I'm not allowed to hold newborn babies. I'm seriously, I drop everything, so that's why it's a great excuse because I'm not a big fan of babies. They're just tiny humans. They're weird. Anyway, but apparently noise is also a big factor in taste. Like scientists don't know why. They did experiments, whereas like if you eat in a noisy place, your food doesn't taste as good as if you eat in complete silence for some reason.
I got that.
But here's the thing, as I was about to get into, not all tastes are affected. Umami, the savory taste, that actually tastes better in the air. And like tomato juice is like tomatoes are filled with umami. And like tomato juices apparently taste far better in the air. And people say like they won't touch the stuff on the ground, but as soon as they're in the air, it's tomato juice central.
Wow.
Which is really cool. Of course, I'll never, because I hate tomatoes, just on a personal level, so nothing will ever get me to drink them, even if it does apparently taste nicer in the air.
You know, just to interject for a second, I have 2 points I want
Be my guest, please.
Firstly, anal. Often used in a non-technical context to describe someone who is extremely or excessively neat, careful, or precise.
Yeah, that's me.
So that was just to get that out of the way because that's been bugging me. And secondly, you know, we're both film, drama, and English students.
Yes.
But one of my other modules is philosophy, specifically existentialism and humanism. And one thing you learn about in existentialism is there's a philosopher called de Beauvoir, and she has this thing about
Beauvoir. Oh, I think she's a woman, right?
Yeah,
she's a woman.
She's a woman, right? Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I think I've heard of her.
And she has this thing about like the different levels of man. One of them is subhuman, but like the ideal kind of enlightened person is someone who accepts their own responsibility, and doesn't rely on other people. You know, they are their own person. They they understand and work with
Simone de Beauvoir.
Yeah,
I have heard of her. Yeah.
They understand. They work with the two levels of of the human kind of existence, which is like, you know, that you have moments of where you're just obsessed with your consciousness and you're aware of it, and then
Where's this coming?
I'll get there. And then you have this part where you are constantly burdened by the heavy sadness that you feel because you realize that you are not original and there are billions of other people just like you. But that's the segue from that. You were talking about legality and stuff that's illegal, you know, risk it for a biscuit, you know. Technically, a serial killer is living an ideal human life.
How?
The only part in which they fail is that they refuse to live
get
their
caught. That's how they fail. They get caught. No, continue.
If you live, one of the kind of principles is that you live your life by your own rules.
Yes.
But that should not intervene with other people living their lives.
Yeah.
And so if serial killers, you know, were only killing bad people, they're technically living the perfect human life.
It's like Dexter.
Yeah. Or the Punisher. Or like the likes.
Or
They're
Batman.
ideal humans. They're living the ideal human life.
Okay.
So that was a really bad
That just came out of nowhere.
segue.
That's like, oh, hey, we're talking about airplane food. Oh, serial killers. Yep, that's the kind of stuff you deal with on this show.
Can we do an episode about serial killers?
We will. Just not next week. It's we will deal with it at some point in the future.
That's one of my fave topics.
I can tell, yeah. But it's not just all serial killers and death. No, there'll also be topics such as in the future there'll be other topics such as cartoons. One thing, Disney's World War II propaganda, which actually might get into next week.
Disney's racism.
Disney's racism, possibly, yes. Other whole host of topics, Greek mythology could be one. That'll be fun. Philosophy, definitely, big one.
Yeah.
Do you need to take that?
No, it's cool.
Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
If you're a fan, planets of the solar system, because I'm a big physics nerd, so talking about planets would always be fun. Astronomy, woo. Dinosaurs. Yes, I'm a big dinosaur. Punk music, or any type of music in general, really.
Music would be one. Yeah.
Guilty pleasures, literature, like books and stuff. Natural disasters. Natural disasters are always fun.
That's a pretty good one, yeah.
Quoted advice, just general advice, like shooting the shit.
I no. I did not do that one.
Well, I generally learn. I learn from the people. I learn from the people who take my advice.
Okay.
So in that, I see they take my advice, they make mistakes, and I learn from that.
I see your sports there now. Do your sports or is that spoons?
That's the spoons. Spoons are my favorite kitchen utensil, so we'll get into that at some point. Not sports. I hate sports.
I like sports.
I don't know. I've always been anti-sports. For anyone listening who is a fan of sports, I do apologize, but I hate you and everything. Stop.
I can accommodate sports. I can talk about sports. So
okay, yeah, we can fit that in. Yeah. But next week's episode we'll deal with since we're just this week and next week we're one on since it's 1-2. So next week we'll talk about sophomore albums. So the second album released by a band, World War II, best sequels.
Nice.
So they're all the topics we'll deal with next week. And until then, I've been Ryan.
I've been Brendan.
And I don't know how it ends. Actually, yeah, that's kind of anticlimactic. The end, I guess.
Yeah, the end. Goodbye.